Joaquin Phoenix sat across from Jon Stewart on the modestly lit set of The Daily Show. The kind of setup that tried to look casual despite costing more than most apartments. The Brooklyn skyline glowing on the fake window behind them. Jon welcomed him with that familiar crooked smirk, fingers tapping his note cards even though everyone knew he barely used them. "We first of all, thank you for being here. I know interviews aren't exactly your favorite hobby," Jon said, half teasing, half cautious. Joaquin stared at him, picking at the sleeve of his dark jacket like he was checking its thread count. "Yeah, well, I was told there wouldn't be any stupid questions," he said dryly, earning a restrained laugh from the audience. Jon nodded, playing along. "Good news, we only have deeply irritating questions tonight." Joaquin cracked the faintest grin, but it vanished just as quickly. Jon leaned forward. "So, I watched Beau is Afraid again this morning. Well, half of it. I lost consciousness emotionally somewhere around hour 2. Do you ever think, maybe today I won't traumatize millions?" Joaquin exhaled sharply. "I don't make movies to comfort people, Jon." Jon raised an eyebrow. "Oh, I gathered. My therapist sent you an invoice." The audience chuckled, but Joaquin remained stone-faced, hands clasped. "You know," Jon continued, "every time you come on, I feel like I'm interviewing a guy who would rather be doing literally anything else. Do you actually enjoy promoting your own films?" Joaquin tilted his head. "Do you enjoy pretending to care about them?" The room shifted. Jon paused, smile stiffening. "Well," he said slowly, "I care about the part where people watch the show so I can keep my health insurance." Joaquin didn't laugh. "You're good at making everything about you, huh?" The audience made a collective oof. Jon blinked, then leaned back with exaggerated calm. "Okay, we're going there early tonight." "Fantastic. Is this your I'm still in character phase, or are you just being kind of a dick?" Joaquin squinted. "Oh, so now you're diagnosing me mid-interview?" Jon clapped softly. "That's right, folks. Tonight on The Daily Show, we cure Joaquin Phoenix." The audience laughed, easing the tension slightly. But Joaquin wasn't relenting. "You know what annoys me about interviews like this?" he said, ignoring the crowd. "You invite actors, pretend you want insight, then cut us off so you can land your punchlines." Jon's expression hardened. "Buddy, it's a comedy show. If you wanted reverence, you should have gone to NPR." Joaquin leaned forward. "I came here to talk, not to be your setup." Jon mirrored him, elbows on the desk. "Then say something worth keeping quiet for." "A hush." Joaquin hesitated for a brief second, then spoke softer. "People assume because I play intense characters, I must be intense all the time, like I wake up screaming into mirrors." Jon shrugged. "Do you?" Joaquin glared. Asterisk, 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 you, Jon." Gasps. Someone in the audience whispered, "Oh shit." Jon sat frozen, eyebrows raised, then slowly nodded. "There it is. We hit the milestone, the official broadcast-friendly meltdown, and we're only 6 minutes in." Joaquin crossed his arms. "You provoked it." Jon replied calmly. "And you delivered it like an Oscar monologue." Joaquin smirked bitterly. "You're really enjoying this, huh?" Jon tapped the desk a little bit. "Yeah." The air was electric now. Uncomfortable, but fascinating. Exactly the kind of moment viewers wouldn't dare switch away from. Jon cleared his throat. "Okay, let's reset. I don't actually want this to be another Phoenix Hates Interviews viral clip, so let's try again. Why did you agree to come?" Joaquin hesitated, his fingers drummed on his knee. "Because your producer said you actually watched the films." Jon softened slightly. "I do." Joaquin nodded. "Most don't." Jon leaned in. "Then tell me something real, and I'll shut up long enough to hear it." Joaquin stared at him, deciding. He stayed silent long enough that Jon shifted in his seat, unsure if he was about to get an emotional confession or another verbal grenade. The audience collectively leaned in like a congregation, waiting for a sermon or a slap. And finally Joaquin spoke, voice lower, less combative, but more pointed. "You want something real? Fine. I'm tired, Jon. Not like I need a nap. Tired. I'm tired of being expected to explain myself every time I make something people don't immediately understand. I'm tired of being told I'm difficult because I don't smile on cue. I'm tired of doing these things where I'm supposed to be grateful just to be asked the same 5 questions for the 100th time." Jon nodded slowly, listening for once without jumping in, his face losing its performative mischief in exchange for something closer to empathy, and he replied carefully. "I get it. You think I'm part of the machine that trivializes your work." Joaquin shrugged. "Aren't you?" Jon leaned back. Maybe, but I also think talking about art publicly doesn't have to cheapen it. It depends on how we talk about it. Joaquin tilted his head, examining him like he was trying to decide whether to trust him. You say that, but you still turned my frustration into a joke 30 seconds ago. Jon raised his hands. It's reflex. If I don't make jokes, people start wondering if something's wrong. It's my own armor. Yours is silence. Mine is sarcasm. Joaquin frowned, considering that. So what? We're both hiding. Jon smirked. Oh, I fully admit it. I am emotionally duct-taped together with punchlines. The audience laughed gently, cautiously, not sure if they had permission yet. Joaquin cracked a reluctant smile. At least you admit it. Jon nodded. All right, let's try dropping the armor for 60 seconds. No jokes, no hostility. You tell me what's something people always get wrong about you. Joaquin hesitated, then exhaled. That I hate people. I don't. I just don't like noise, forced interactions. I'm not built for surface level. Jon nodded slowly. Fair. And in my world, surface level is the default setting. Joaquin looked at him, a flicker of mutual understanding forming, tension loosening, but not gone. More like two dogs deciding not to bite, but still keeping distance. Jon tapped his pen against the desk. Let me ask you this. Have you ever actually enjoyed an interview? Joaquin thought for a moment. Once, years ago, some small radio station in Texas. The host didn't even know who I was. He asked if I liked gardening. Jon grinned. Do you? Joaquin shrugged. I don't know. I said yes anyway, so he'd feel like we connected. Jon laughed. So even the interview you enjoyed, you still lied. We gave him a deadpan stare. That's not the point. Jon held up his hands. Okay. So, how do we make this not miserable? We looked around, scanning the cameras, the audience, the crew hiding just off stage. Turn them off. Jon blinked. The cameras? We nodded. Yeah. Jon leaned forward. You know this is a television show, right? We shrugged. Then you're not capable of an honest conversation. The air tightened again. Jon stared at him for a long second, then chuckled dryly. You are unbelievable. Joaquin smirked. Told you. Jon looked toward the control room glass where producers were already panicking, hands waving frantically. He turned back. You really want me to stop the show right now? Joaquin crossed his arms. I want you to decide what kind of host you actually are, a performer or a person. Jon sat silently, face unreadable, wrestling with something only he knew. Then suddenly he turned to the audience. Folks, give us a minute. Confusion rippled. Then to everyone's shock, he signaled toward the booth and said, Cut the feed. The applause sign flickered off. The music stopped. The red on-air light died. Cameras drooped. The room shifted from performance to something raw and unfiltered. A strange quiet settling like dust after an explosion. Jon looked back at Joaquin. Okay, cameras are off. Say what you want to say. We stared at him, surprised he actually did it. Like he expected a bluff. Then cautiously, he asked, You're not going to turn this into some viral marketing stunt, right? Jon shook his head. If this never airs, so be it. I just don't want to walk away from this thinking I hid behind. Joaquin leaned forward, elbows on knees. All right, then let's talk for real. And for the first time since stepping on stage, his voice softened into something vulnerable. Do you ever feel like people don't actually care who you are, just what you represent? Jon nodded. Every day. We exhaled. Then maybe that's what pisses me off. I don't want to be an idea or a symbol or a headline. I just want to be a person who doesn't have to perform all the time. Jon looked at him with a solemn kind of understanding. So do I. Silence. Heavy. Strange. Honest. Then before anyone could process it, one of the stagehands tripped over a cable with a loud crash, nearly taking down a light. Both men turned. Jon burst into laughter. Joaquin tried not to smile but failed. That poor guy just ruined the most profound moment of my career, Jon said. Joaquin shrugged. Or saved it. And just like that, the tension finally cracked. Not fully healed, not resolved, but shifted. Jon leaned forward again. You know we still have to go back on air in 30 seconds, right? Joaquin sighed. Yeah. And Jon smirked. And when we do, are we good? We paused, thinking. We'll see. Jon grinned. I'll take it. And as the producer counted down to cameras rolling again, neither of them realized the real conflict of the night was still waiting. Someone else backstage, listening, waiting, ready to make this day even more explosive. The red light blinked back on. The applause sign flashed to life as if nothing had happened, and Jon Stewart instantly shifted back into host mode. Or tried to, straightening his papers with exaggerated dignity while the audience cheered on cue, unaware they had just missed the most genuine moment of the entire episode. And Jon announced with theatrical calm, "Welcome back, folks, to what is definitely still a normal interview and not a psychological hostage situation." Earning a polite wave of laughter while Joaquin Phoenix sat beside him, expression more neutral now, less combative but still unreadable. And Jon continued, "We were just discussing gardening." We glanced at him, almost amused. "Yeah, riveting stuff." But before Jon could respond, a sudden voice from offstage yelled, "Yeah, real riveting," loud enough that it cut through the laughter like a blade. And everyone turned to see one of the audience members. No, not an audience member. Someone standing in the aisle who clearly wasn't supposed to be there. A well-dressed guy in a suit, early 40s, eyes blazing with irritation as he pointed toward the stage. "I waited 2 hours to get in here, and this is what I get?" Two grown men sulking because one of them doesn't like interviews. Security moved toward him immediately, but Jon held up a hand. "No, let him talk." Surprising everyone, including Joaquin, who crossed his arms. "Observant," the man continued. "I'm a huge fan of yours, Jon. For years, I've watched you call people out when they're acting ridiculous, so why are you tiptoeing around him?" Jon blinked. "Excuse me?" The man pointed aggressively at Joaquin. "He came here to promote a movie, didn't he? Then promote it. Stop acting like you're too pure for it. You're an actor, not a monk." Joaquin stared at him, eyebrows raised but calm. Jon interjected. "Sir, I get your frustration. But maybe don't audition for most annoying person in New York on live television." The man ignored him, addressing Joaquin directly. "You think being mysterious makes you deep. It just makes you exhausting." A collective gasp spread through the audience, but we didn't snap back, didn't swear, didn't even flinch. Instead, he asked, "What do you do for a living?" The man hesitated. I'm in finance." We nodded. "Do you love it?" The man scoffed. "What does that have to do with anything?" We leaned forward. "Do you ever go to work and think, why am I doing this? Who am I doing this for? Do you ever have days where you don't want to perform the same version of yourself people expect?" The man went silent, jaw tightening but eyes shifting. "Yeah," he muttered reluctantly. "Every day." We nodded again. "Then maybe don't judge me for not wanting to fake it for a camera." The studio fell quiet. Even Jon paused, impressed. The man looked down, deflated but thoughtful. Security finally arrived to escort him out, but Jon called after him. "Hey, next time you want to hijack my show, at least bring snacks." Laughter broke the tension. The man cracked a sheepish smile and disappeared through the exit. Jon turned back to Joaquin. "Well, that was something." We shrugged. "You wanted authenticity." Jon smirked. "I wanted ratings, but this works too." The audience laughed again, no longer nervous but invested. Jon leaned forward. "So before we wrap, one more question. Cameras are on. Audience is listening. No armor, no shtick. What do you actually want people to take away from watching you?" Joaquin thought for a moment, rubbing his hands together slowly before speaking. "That I'm trying, even if it doesn't always look like it. I'm trying to be real in a business built on pretending. That's all." Jon nodded solemnly. "Fair answer." He extended his hand. Joaquin eyed it, then shook it. Applause erupted, this time not prompted by a blinking sign, but by genuine release. Jon looked into the camera. "Ladies and gentlemen, Joaquin Phoenix, actor, philosopher, occasional emotional landmine." And the crowd laughed as the credits' music swelled. As the lights dimmed and the cameras powered down for AOL, Jon turned to Joaquin with a grin. "You know this episode is going to be a nightmare to edit." Joaquin smirked. "Just don't cut the part where I say you." Jon patted his shoulder. "Oh, that's the trailer." And for the first time all night, both men laughed. Not as host and guest. Not as performer and reluctant participant, but simply as two tired humans who somehow survived the strangest conversation of the night.